Let's talk about bugs, and you will eat bugs. So you will eat bugs and you will like it. You will if you're a child in school. That is the wish of the World Economic Forum, as we've outlined here on the show. With the cover story, and we've covered this story on the show for a couple of times now, for their effort to eliminate meat production. Of course, this is one of their answers. They always point to, well, people, in other countries, in Africa, they eat bugs all the time, right? This is a staple of their diet. Yeah, maybe not by choice. Do you ever think of that? Like, if they had the choice whether to eat bugs or to eat other foods, I think they might not make that decision. But who am I to judge? But this is what the World Economic Forum wants you to believe.
The data supports that, so you don't have to make a judgment that when GDP increases, people who are vegetarians do choose to eat meat.
Yeah, they stop eating bugs when they actually aren't in poverty anymore. Imagine that. The World Economic Forum is pushing for the protein found in bugs as a meat replacement. This is unequivocally true. This is not a conspiracy theory at all. This is true. You can read about it on the World Economic Forum's website. Hundreds of schools now in the Netherlands are now offering mealworms and insects to children's lunches. It's unbelievable. Like, let's try to normalize the eating of bugs to save the environment. That's what they're trying to do here. So watch this video from a TV station which shows a bug ambassador and a Dutch politician serving mealworms to 10 to 12-year-old students in school who are creeped out by it and by the way, who are told to eat it. Watch this bug ambassador who, he's trying to make it fun. He's like, just look, you guys are going to love this. This is fun. Have you guys ever heard the term mealworm before? Guess what? We're all going to eat them. Watch this. This is one of the creepiest videos I've seen.
Buiten deze heerlijke plantaardige gerechten heb ik namelijk ook een zakje met meelwormen.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard it. Here we go. Here they are. Everyone gets a mealworm to eat. Here you go. 3, 2, 1, eat. And there's the Dutch politician right there. Let's eat them. What do you think about them? Ew. Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get kids to eat things they do not want to? Maybe this is how, you know what? It's either the worms or your broccoli. You choose. They will eat the broccoli every time.
Maybe this is the answer. I'll have a bag of worms just sitting there ready to go so that if you don't eat your broccoli, it's worm time.
Yeah.
Break out the worms. So
live ones.
This was a whole big public relations push this week as part of the Dutch Food Week. Here's how it kicked off. Here's Dutch Food Week. Watch.
Welkom. Welkom allemaal. Welkom in het stadhuis van 's-Hertogenbosch en bij de start van...
So this is the Food Week, the Dutch Food Week 2022, with all sorts of different food-related topics and bug eating and bug protein shakes and how can we make bugs palatable. This is the plan. Hundreds of schools in the Netherlands and across, we saw right in the chat, people saying right now in Australia, they're already doing this in Australia. They're already doing this in Canada. They're doing this in other parts of Europe. I asked my son Miles if he would be down with eating bugs for lunch. I confronted my son who was getting his Darth Vader costume ready for Halloween, and I asked him about this, and here's what he had to say. Would you be okay with that? Maybe you could take the helmet off to answer me. Would you be okay with eating bugs for lunch every day? I mean, as even Darth Vader would.
You said bugs?
Bugs.
Bugs.
Bugs. Would you eat bugs for lunch? Instead of having a healthy lunch.
Is this for real?
This is for real. What would you do if they put a plate of mealworms down for you?
I wouldn't eat it.
Would you run away?
Yeah. I'd ask the teacher, is this for lunch? This is for real?
It's for real. Yeah, it's for real. What? And then I showed him the video of these kids eating these bugs, and he's like, what? Where is this happening? He's like, Daddy, is this going to happen at my school? I'm like, over my dead body.
Well, that's an interesting point because we had a super chat earlier on the show from Join OSRS who said, do they have parental consent? Because he said he'd be pretty pissed off if he figured out they were feeding this to his kids without any consent.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
I mean, they don't usually ask me when they feed them fish or whatever, is there something in the terms of service when you agree to the lunch service that they can feed them whatever the heck?
I don't know. I mean, here's how they played it. An RTV Oost played it on their, this is the Dutch website. It says mealworm. And here we go. Here's the headlines here. I'll translate it for you. After at first hesitation, the students of the Octopus Primary School in Zwolle carefully put them in their mouths, mealworms. And as the taste buds got to work on the unfamiliar food, some faces brightened. It tastes like nuts, they say. The school children are today exposed to a new eating experience, part of a teaching package about healthy and sustainable food. It's a tried and tested means, behavioral changes via the as yet uninhibited children, because if they appreciate it, then it has a future. They were only mealworms on the menu at Die Octopus today. The 7th grade students also got to taste dishes made with lupine worms and other insects.
Wait, who told them that children are uninhibited? They do not eat what you want them to eat. This is a fundamental lack of understanding of children.
But I think also, well, they may be. And then also like the indoctrination of this, though. Like, let's get them started early and normalizing this in schools. Let's indoctrinate these children so that they are ready then to go forward eating bugs on a regular basis.
Yeah. Okay.
There were they said not only, oh yeah, I mentioned that part. So the Dutch government mandated a 50% reduction in nitrogen emissions by 2030 in the Netherlands, of course, in accordance with the WEF's Great Reset, claiming livestock accounts for 40% of nitrogen emissions in the country. And so many farmers, of course, are being run out of business and losing their farms, as we've highlighted here on the show. Upwards of 17,000 farmers gone. 11,000 farms will go under as the government takes control of this.
And actually, I got an email from a viewer who is a fisherman in the Netherlands and said that the government is taking a hard line on them as well. So it's not just whatever is farmed, raised, or grown. It's also what is fished, that it will be less available because of these government decisions.
So
while we're talking about while we're covering the point of like not getting parental consent, I would like to point out that, so it's like me personally, I have an allergy to chitin, which means certain fungus and shellfish. Chitin is the main
protein
like molecule in bug shells, exoskeletons. So that like getting something like that without consent, people don't think about that. I mean, you could trigger an allergic reaction.
I mean, I literally cannot put cashews in my kids'
because of nut
lunch
allergies.
Because of nut allergies, but then bugs, right? Which I've done some research. It's not uncommon, the chitin allergy, right?
No. So Philip, play that video. Here's a scientist talking about the problem with chitin. Listen.
It's been shown contain a substance called chitin. There's a meme going around. You sort of see this stuff and you think, oh, is this fear mongering? Is this true? But I've looked into it and it's actually true, folks. There's a lot of evidence that insects contain chitins. Chitins are very, very bad for humans. Chitins cause all sorts of problems, asthma, respiratory problems, all the things we're seeing from the jab. It also causes this thing called glioblastoma, which is a spinal cancer. Comes from chitins, and chitins cannot be cooked out of insects. There's no processing that will take these substances out of the insects. When you eat the insects, you are eating chitins. Chitins cannot be processed by the human body. You know, we don't eat insects, folks. You know, birds, chickens, lizards, reptiles, these things eat insects. Fish eat insects. We don't eat insects. We don't have the digestive system to be able to process certain things that are found in insects, such as chitin. And like I said, they can't be processed out. They cannot be cooked out. They are always there. So if you're eating little insect snacks or eating insectin burgers, you're eating chitins, folks, and you're going to make yourself very sick.
Oh, good. So there we have our kids like eating.
Well, you know, and that's also... Talk about a wet kiss to the pharmaceutical industry. It's like if their goal, the conspiracy theorist in me is like, they just want to keep people sick. So you got to take pharmaceuticals to get better. It's like, what a better way to hide it.
having asthma, and kids on inhalers, and I know.
I mean, as hunter-gatherers, wouldn't we have figured this out already if we thought that this was an awesome way to live? We would have already known this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a good point. That's a good point. Like
we were meant to forage and hunt our own food.
And I think we're meant to find bugs repellent. We're meant to find bugs disgusting.
Right. And so I think that this would have already been part of human cuisine. We would have thought of this a long time ago if it were just that easy as like plucking bugs off of a tree rather than growing food, which is a lot harder.
Many European countries and Canada are already doing this. According to WION, Wales in the UK, as part of alternative protein research, primary school kids in Wales are going to be offered edible insects for their lunches at schools. So you have that choice. You can read all about this, by the way, the whole plan of all of this right on the World Economic Forum's website. We're not making this up. You wouldn't be seeing this, by the way, popping up all over Europe and Canada if it didn't come from the WEF. Why we need to give insects the role they deserve in our food systems. Go and read the whole report. Right inside. Would you let your kids eat bugs for school lunches? Would you, if they said, no more meat, we're getting rid of meat, we're going to start charging you, for any meat you have. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to lose carbon credits or whatever. We're going to be tracking everything you do. If you eat meat, we're coming after you.
Can you consider yourself a vegan if you're eating bugs? I don't think you can. Right.
I don't know. I don't have any vegans here.
No, you cannot.
No. Okay.
You can't even use
also,
honey.
I think we got the meat lobby will keep us safe. The meat lobby is going to fight this tooth and nail. So I'm not a fan of the meat lobby, but on this, you guys, I got your back.
All right.
Okay.
Tooth and gristle. They're going to fight it tooth and gristle.